audience. You're welcome. How are you today? Good morning, good evening, good night, depending on the part of the world you are. We're glad to have you here today. And I want our guest to introduce herself. She's a special person to me. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's an author, she's an entrepreneur. She's putting on so many hats that sometimes I keep wondering how does she achieve it? With my little knowledge of her, we've known ourselves about 2 years now. Everything she does, she puts excellent mark of excellence in it. That's why I like who will be my first guest on this floor. It's no other person than her. So I want her to please introduce herself, your name, and a brief history of yourself. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ma,
You're welcome.
for the warm welcome. To join you on this call tonight. Well, it's Chisom Olamigoke, and the introductions you've given of me are very correct. I would only add that I'm multi-skilled as a writer, a project manager, and a book publisher. So over the course of the years, I've worked with legacy leaders to help curate their ideas and their stories into books and other digital content. At the heart of my work really lies a commitment to continuous learning and development. Personally intrigued by our stories, our individual stories, and I've just stay observant through my day to day to observe how our daily experiences teach us to live. I'm a lover of God and the published author of 3 books. She affirms the home office and made by God and for good. It's my pleasure to be on here tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming. We appreciate that. Apart from that, the next question I will ask you is while growing up, how do you spend your holiday? Because nowadays, when children are on holiday, parents expect children to also be going for summer school, reading books again. How were you spending your holidays while growing up?
So I had a very interesting childhood, if I say so myself. Um, so I grew up as the first daughter in my immediate family, but I grew up around my older siblings or my older cousins who were like siblings to me while growing up. So that meant that when I was in junior secondary school, some of them were already married and in their homes. So what was very common is to go holidaying. And I know more than 2 experiences where I was supposed to go travel maybe from home to Abuja or Lagos, wherever my cousin was, to holiday. And something just happened. Those holidays never happened. But what took place instead was I found myself out to sew when I was in junior secondary. And around that time, I learned how to bake. I just started to acquire a number of, and I never really knew what holiday period was because that for me that meant not going to school, and that probably meant more time to read my novels and the books that caught my interest. So holidays really for me were just spent majorly my parents. I didn't do holiday lessons as much. Maybe when I was quite older and maybe I was preparing for exams like the WAEC and the likes. But other than that, I don't have vivid memories of going to school for holiday lessons or what is now called summer lessons. I always did something else outside of education, outside of what we well formal education. I always did something else to sort of occupy myself. That's how I remember my child.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I never. Okay, so for me, it's only when I have to write maybe jam or write one serious exam. That's why we do holiday lesson. Outside that, it's a no-no in my family. You need to learn trade or go and do something busy. Oh, that takes me to the next question. This generation, children for me don't relax. It's book, book, book. How will you recommend that children should relax during holiday? And should there be a routine during holiday? How should they spend their holiday, and must it always be also a routine? Two questions in one.
Okay, so I'll give a quick disclaimer to say that I'm not a parent myself, right? So before someone comes across this and asks my qualification to give this counsel, but I'll still go ahead and speak because I've been privileged to have young people around me. I have younger siblings. Being the first out of six children meant that it got a point where I was a sub parent. Not really, but you get the analogy. I have younger ones, and I've had my younger cousins and stuff, family around me, and maybe church family as well. So I've had time to observe and interact with young people, and I know much alongside the concept of having after school or summer lessons, except if that child struggles academically. So except it's a child that struggles academically, and then you realize that okay, you have another 3 weeks to help them get up to speed, right? If they need special intervention, then that's understandable. I mean, I would understand that. But if that's not the case, I think most schools go on from around here in Nigeria. They leave home as early as 7 and even earlier in some states, and then get back home around 5 or past 5 in the evening. And the children do this Mondays through Friday. And then holiday period, you want to subject them to something similar. I don't think it's fair on the overall development. I would suggest instead that parents use that time to focus on strengthening or having grown up. I do realize that some of the things I'm doing now were skills or areas of interest I had as a young child. So I had always been writing as a young child and a teenager, right? I think if we have children that have other interests, maybe in music, have them learn a music instrument. Maybe in tech. Tech is now the new wave, right? Everybody wants to tech. And it's okay. Have them pick a few that they're interested in and start them on early. I think there is a whole world out there to explore, and it might be unfair to that child to just subject them to the academic learning experience when you can teach them other extracurricular activities and get them to strengthen their other skills, talents, and potentials. Now, with respect to routine, I think it's important even during holidays to have a routine. Now, they might not mean waking up by 5 a.m. as they would during school hours, but I think they should have a wake up time and a sleep time. These really help us to live life intentionally. It really helps us to be able to achieve those goals that we want to, we've already visualized and planned. That's for me as an adult. And if it's a skill that the young child is able to be taught while growing up, I think it's a good skill that is going to help them across the course of their life's journey. So yes to routines, moderately structured so that it's not overwhelming as well. Yes to learning other extracurricular activities and engaging in other lessons, except when that child needs academic intervention. Have them explore the other abilities. I think it will do them a whole world of good.
Okay, thank you so much. I totally concur because all those skills that I learned during holiday while growing up, it's been quite useful for me here in Canada. Like I didn't
Mm,
learn sewing as a serious things, but here I've been able to use it as part of my way of generating little income. I can mend clothes, I could sew for myself, which to me is a plus. I'm like, oh, if I've known then that it will be useful later in years, but I never used it for so long, that I will have taken it more serious. But that's another challenge. Even when you send the child, they're like, oh, parents have been unnecessarily burdened, making me learn things. How do you think we can pass the message to make our word or children understand that this knowledge will be useful in later years?
so at that age, really, at that age, their concept of value differs. Of course, as we get older, we get wiser. Um, Age automatically does not confer wisdom, but by reason of experience and exposing ourselves to other knowledge, we get wiser. Life teaches you. But I think if the parents are able to make the lesson real. So it's not just or start to learn how to sew, just have this that children learn more by observation. So if it's possible for the parents themselves to point to their life stories, to point to your life, using yourself as an example, oh, this is what I did when I was at this age, oh, see how it helped me. Then also help them point to other external examples. Oh, see that uncle, see that auntie, see that man, see that woman. Oh, she has about 7 degrees, but this is also what she also, she does as well. It helps them to see that this thing you are telling them is a possibility. And I think most importantly is giving them examples that they can relate to. You don't give them an example of someone that is 70 years old and they are just 7. They might not be able to relate to that person. But give them a fellow teenager that is maybe
Thank you.
14, is an example they can relate to. And like I think is an intrinsic nature of humans that once you see value in a thing, you will commit to it. Once we see value in a thing, even as children, that's how some people that do gentle parenting would say, "Oh, talk to the child, explain to them, and all of that. Let them understand why you want to beat them. Oh, don't even beat them. Just talk to them and all of that because the child might be a child, but I think intrinsically as humans, once we see value in a thing, we by ourselves commit to it. So when the child sees value in what you're saying, they'll know that it's not just mommy and daddy talking. They're not just talking because adults like to talk. Um,
Yeah.
they're talking because, oh, this is proven by so and so and so life experiences, and then go beyond the talks to start to expose them to things. It might not be the first skill that you introduce them to that they will love. They might not love it. You might think you want to get them to learn how to sew, but then they want to learn how to code. By all means, because it will make your work a bit harder if you keep pushing them to learn something they have basically no interest in. So capitalize on their area of interest, show them the value, and I think that's a good place to start.
Okay, thank you. So the next question I'll ask you is, what's one piece of advice will you have given yourself 10 years ago? That's quite funny.
I'll tell myself there is no rush. Every good thing will come. There is no
Wow.
rush to be an adult. And I made the same thoughts. I shared the same thoughts around this time last week, last week Saturday. That I remember growing up and thinking, oh, I'm a teenager. I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait to be an adult so I can do this, do that, do the other thing. And I think it was with hair making my head because at the point during my secondary school, I wasn't braiding hairs. So I can remember my mom telling me that when you grow up, you make hair, like you get tired of making hair. But I was just a young girl and I couldn't relate. I was like, I want to make hair, and my mates are making hair and they are fine. And I know when I make my hair, I'm going to be fine as well. Now at this my age, I am tired. That's just one, that's just really one example out of so many. I will tell my younger self to relax. You're gonna be an adult for the rest of your life. Just relax. You every good thing will come. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's true. When we're teenager, everybody wants to rush to make up, to do this, to do that. But now you look back like, why
Oh,
rush? You always get there. You will never pass that train. It's a stage in life. We all pass through it. Thank you so much. What motto will you
honestly, I've
advise
done it for 5 years
parents?
and I'm tired.
Hey, I can imagine. Well done. What motto will you advise parents and children to follow regarding education and vocational studies? Like where I am, the people that we call Andy people back home in Nigeria, they are very rich, comfortable. You can't call a plumber to come and check your zinc. You first of all pay for consultation, blah, blah, blah. Like you can call your mechanic, your car is this, just call them anyhow. You will pay. But back home, in comparison, we don't appreciate or value those skills. But here, even the most time they earn more than you that works in office. So how do you want us now to balance both as African? What's your advice?
Yeah, this question reminds me of the ongoing conversation around having a career and being a business owner. You know, the way entrepreneurs this 9 to 5 hours and 9 to 5 hours this entrepreneur. That's just what it reminds me of. But I think as we all coming to realize that it's not one or the other. For some people, they are doing both. And whether you're being an entrepreneur or whether you're being in the career sector, everyone is equally important. So taking it to this question, I would say there's no one size fits all. I think it calls for intentionality for the parent in question to know this child I'm pushing to go do their masters, go get their PhD, go do the second degree. Just do they, how comfortable are they with education, right? Do they struggle a whole lot with with the things and the areas I'm pushing them to? And then taking a step back to realize, are there things
Hello, Bill. Sorry about that. I'm sure it's internet at the other side. Okay, you welcome back.
my apologies, I'm having network
No
challenges.
problem. We know how technological be. Thank you for coming back. Okay.
Sorry, at what point did you lose me?
Talking about balancing both. No perfect one fits any. Like going to school, PhD here and there. You need to know what the child wants.
Yes, yeah, yes, yes. I wouldn't say, make all your firstborn children get formal education and make the secondborns get vocational studies or anything like that. I would say be a bit more intentional as parents, as people that have children or younger people in your custody. So as parents and caretakers, be a bit more intentional about the younger lives under your influence and under your guidance, knowing what areas they are better suited and strengthened for. Yes, by all means, that child that struggles with books, you can get them to devote extra hours in the day, extra hours during the weekend, extra hours during holidays, and they will get good. But of what use is it pushing them and making them struggle when they could have gone a path of, a path where they can apply the same labor and effort and get more results? So I would say parents should be a bit more intentional. I would say they should be a bit more observational, right? Observe the child in your care and know what do they need. And I think even if they are doing vocational studies, it might be a good idea to get everyone a basic degree, maybe their first degree. Let them just get it. I had a conversation about this time, was it last year or 2 years ago? I was speaking with a group of teenagers around purpose and career. And one of the things I let them know is at this age, it might be nearly impossible for you to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Even if you know what you think you want to do for the rest of your life, you have a very long life ahead of you. At 40, you might realize that, oh, I want to do something differently. And because you're not a tree, you can change, you can move, right? So maybe have them get the first degree. They are struggling at 12. At 20, the story might be different, but just get them basic education, get them education that allows them to compete in the world, and then let them follow whatever side of life that their strengths are better suited for. Understanding the fact that it's all about excellence. Anything you want to do in this life is about being excellent at it. So if they want to pursue vocational studies, that are being excellent in it. I mean, in recent times we've had people win awards and small and we had Tunde Onokoya for chess. A couple while back, we had the cooking marathon. We just had a couple guys come into news from because of things they've done. And it just makes me understand the world the world we live in rewards success.
Yes, you're right.
So whatever sector you are in, just be excellent at what you do. Delve to. Just be excellent.
Okay. Thank you so much. So excellence is the word, whichever one we want to do, be it education, be it vocation we want the children to do, they just need to be excellent. That's why nowadays we say we are proud. There is no occupation, vocation. You don't see Nigerian excelling. Fashion, name it, music, whichever one we do. So whatever we have to tell our child, just be the best at what you are good at. Do you love baking? Concentrate on baking. Do you love normal native food or
Be
whatever you love
good.
to make up? Just be excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, what book or activities will you recommend for parents so that it will encourage bonding with their children? Maybe activity or book they could read together. Thank you.
Okay. I think following the line about getting to understand your child and their areas of interest, it might be good to encourage them encourage them to take on activities along the areas you've identified. So I recall about 5 years ago or thereabout, I worked with my first child author. The boy was no less than, or no older than 18 years. I can't remember his exact age. I'm not sure it was up to 10 years, but he was publishing his first book, right? The parents were fully involved. The mother especially was fully involved in the process. I had to go to their home to complete the editing because it's a different thing where when an older author sends their manuscripts and you can go the back and forth with them. But because I was a child, my boss then had me go to the home and walk through the editing process with the child. What I saw in that story wasn't, the parents didn't see it as one of these things children do. Oh, this child likes to scribble, they like to draw, they just like to, make caricature images here and there. They took it seriously. And I think I would say take something your child is interested in seriously. Just devote a bit of your time to fueling that interest of theirs. So if it's writing, get them paired with a, not maybe not a writing coach now, but enroll them in a creative program where they are being taught writing. If they like to play instruments, enroll them with someone to further strengthen that skill, understanding that okay, when school resumes, they go back to the academic world. I also want to, the only book I want to recommend, and which is what comes top of mind, and people that have read my last book, Made by God and for God, know that I talked so very much about this book in my book, and that's Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life. I read that book as a teenager, and it answered a lot of questions I had, and of course, left me with more questions that I had to answer through adulthood, and some of which answers I communicated in my last book, right? But then the message there is have them read a book like that or similar books that help them to understand that there is so much more to their lives, right? Have your young, they are not too young to understand purpose, they're not too young to understand intentional living. So we play mommy and daddy works, we get money, we sponsor your lifestyle, but they're not too young to understand that as individuals they have a role to play. They're not just there to complete, oh, mommy has 3 children and I'm one of them. There's a specific role they've been put here on earth to do. All their abilities and their talents have a place. I think it's important to work around those, get them exposed to knowledge and things that strengthen that perception, because it colors and frames a whole lot the manner of persons they will be. There are individuals that live through life very casually, whatever the day brings. How I wake up, I just do it. No planning, no intentionality. I'm just breezing through life. But you can't have an impactful life just breezing through life. So they're not too young to be exposed to such knowledge and content and books that help to frame that perception that yes, you're a child, you're 13. I'm not asking you to go start a business or go do something outside of your abilities, but just begin to understand that you have a purpose. There's a reason why you are here, and you have a role to play. You are responsible, and they might not fully understand it. Like I said, requiring the purpose driven life answered a number of questions for me. It also left me with questions. I've gotten reviews from people that have read Made by God and for God and answered a number of questions for them. And I'm sure also left them with questions as well. So just expose them to knowledge. Nothing is too big for them. Nothing is too big for them to understand. Sometimes these children really know more than we give them credit for. I teach teens class in church, right? And sometimes you hear certain conversations or you're able to get them to share and you realize that this child you think is a child, yes, they are children, but they're not, we give them less credit. You think, oh, he's just a child. And if he doesn't, you see what their limits is, just keep challenging them. So expose them to things that challenges their mind and helps them to understand that you're not just here because, just because you're here for a reason.
Thank you so much. I've also learned that too, that sometimes things that we are having challenges with as parents, because they are good with technology, and sometimes they have this knowledge that is hidden that you're not aware of. Over the years, I've discovered that when I bring in my children to some conversation, the solution they prefer, I'll like, what? Like, mommy, I'm not done. I'm smart. So for us, parent to be and guardian, let's encourage our children. Let us not limit them. Yes, Chisholm has encouraged us to read books with our children, purpose living life. We are here for a reason, and that child is under your custody at this moment for a reason. Make the best of the opportunity. We will not always be together forever. They will grow up, they will go to higher institution, marry, relocate. So let's make the best of the opportunity we have now living together. It's been nice having our guest, Chisholm. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I will say I love you because each time I call on you, midnight, half night, you're always answering. Thank you so much. If you want to write a book, yourself, your children, she's a good author, she's a good writer. Anyone you want, editing, ghost writing, everything, just reach out. I'll connect you to her. Thank you for having you around. See you all some other time. It's been a nice experience learning from Chisholm. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you so much.